Okay, this is a bold statement, but it's one that I think everybody realizes, or I guess few realize actually, why the church is the only salvation for Western civilization, secularism, human rights, equality. There's a cop car, so I'm going to slow down and put this down. Why it's the only. Okay, that Stady's not coming after me. Why it's the only thing that works. If you see the amount of nihilism and leftism that comes up when people become atheists, it's about 80%, I think, that when they're atheists they become leftist, or they become this type of nihilistic. Well, and there's some type of correlation, if not causation, with them becoming anti-religious, or at least anti-Christian. Now, what happens when you dispense with, when you start self-identifying as a atheist, not just I'm a Christian non-practicing, or I'm agnostic, is the traditions start to go, which is the binding, is the backbone for Western civilization. The holidays, the meanings behind the holidays, the cyclical living, the cyclical calendar, what's called liturgical. The hopes and aspirations and dreams that are built into Christianity, which is, look at what Paul said, that God has declared no difference between Jew nor Gentile, Greek nor barbarian, male nor female, rich nor poor. I mean, that's the basis for the West moving to complete equality, and even the condemnation of slavery, that there are no slaves, even no difference between slave nor free, all declared equal. This was you could say the reason that the first evangelists beyond the apostles declared that if you were a Christian, you had to give up your slaves, you had to free them, and why Patrick and later on Columba and Bridget said, yeah, if you're a king, you have to outlaw slavery in your or your tribal chieftain in your area. If you're a person who owns slave, you have to liberate them. And I mean, within less than a generation, all Ireland became slave-free. And then the places that the Irish impacted, like the Pictland, where it became Scottish, slavery was abolished. And I wound up wiping out slavery in Europe. We had something equally as bad, serfdom, come up, but that would eventually get wiped out in the same vein. But really, there's no what is the basis of rights? Well, the state doesn't grant you the right. Where do your rights come from? Well, they're God-given. And even the deistic founding fathers, who were deists and Freemasons and all sort of Protestant, realized this, that these rights aren't given to you by the state can only protect them, and that rights are God-given. And if we want our culture to actually exist against the backdrop of something like hardcore Marxism, where you're only a cog in a machine, and that you basically can be executed by the state at any time, and that things like family, like the nuclear family, the individual, gets obliterated under other systems. I mean, look at Islam, which is still preferable to Marxism. The only societies that can stand against that have been the Christian ones, and even sometimes they are overtaken militarily. But if you want actually a breeding population, a population that doesn't have have a negative birth rate, a population that values its culture, that actually puts extreme value on its culture, and it isn't self-hating, you need one that is a baptized, believing culture. I mean, look at what happened to Ireland when it accepted this poison of this kind of liberal atheist poison. What happened to its birth rate and the threat? I mean, when it was under occupation, and even when the North was in the Troubles, we had a very Catholic Ireland, people unified in one culture and one belief system, united, and its culture actually stayed longer than the rest of Europe. Now it has a negative birth rate, and people forgetting the importance of its culture. Even the form of Gaelic that stuck around, the Irish form, that is now rapidly dying out and just becoming a curiosity. Religion really is the key. It's not necessarily a belief in a supernatural, right? It is, but it's not. People talk about faith in Christ and this and that, but really religion is the key. And once you get dogma in religion, which the left has now formed, I mean, think of the idea of original sin, of punishment of the chosen people, of the condemned people, basically things like that, very tribalistic and brutal, that rose up in the wake of religion, and in the wake of basically in a post-Christian society like right now, or college campuses especially. Think of how much the Christians despised paganism. The generation just before them of paganism, and look at how much the culture despises Christianity.